Hi, Stamper fans. I'm Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I am here to help you connect with your people, whether that's gathering together to craft or you making handmade items to share with them. It's all about making and deepening those connections. So let's get started making a little something to connect with them tonight. Let me switch the view on the camera here. There we go. This is not what we're making tonight, but I did want to update you on the winner of Friday Night Stamping. It was a close vote again, but by 2 votes, I believe it was, my truck card won. So, but I also wanted to point out that these designer papers that we each used are both from the same pack. It's called Country Woods, I believe. It was one of the freebies that I got when I attended on stage. So, hello, Penny. So nice to see you. Glad you don't have to catch the replay this week. So yeah, we had a lot of fun making those. Glad everybody liked them so much. But tonight, this is what we were making. I had promised you guys this, I don't know, like a month ago, I think. Yeah, it was not a on purpose coordination. We both just picked pieces out of there randomly. But what we're making tonight is a lip balm holder, and it is fashioned after one that I got from my roommate, actually, one of my roommates during Onstage. We each, gave each other little gifties, and this was one of the things in her little gift bag. And I thought it was the cutest thing, so I went searching for the directions. And it's super easy. So I'm going to teach you how to make that tonight. I'm going to teach you how to make, excuse me, one. And I'm also going to teach you how to make 2 at a time. So if you're making multiples, it's a little quicker this way as well. Goodness, I had a little catch in my throat, like a little piece of dust or something. Always have water on hand, though. So, okay. So what I've got tonight. So basically, when you're making just one, you take a 6x6 piece of designer paper and you cut it in half diagonally. These are obviously 2 different papers because I'm going to use that one to teach you how to make 2 at a time. But for this one, I am using a piece of the Bright and Beautiful designer paper, which actually carried over from the last catalog to this one, which hardly ever happens. So if you were a fan of this DSP, lucky you. So what we're going to do is, so you just cut it in half on the diagonal, okay? And then I've got a plethora of supplies here tonight. So, and as always, I have put everything you need in the supply list link in the description of the video. So you can just click on that and see all the things that I used. I did actually include stuff that I used for both of the versions because I'm using a little bit different decoration. So you have some options there. So if you need some items, I included them so they'd be easy for you to get to. Yeah, cardstock measurements are in there too. Hi, Lucia. So glad you could join us. Cardstock measurements for this are just really, really tough, though. You cut a piece of 6x6 in half, and then you need some scraps for decoration. That's literally it. So, couldn't be easier. So I am using my Simply Scored board. You can also use your trimmer with the scoring blade, but I will tell you, I did that on one of them. It is tougher because, let me get this up close. You can see that the inch marks don't go all the way to the top. So if you have your designer paper in here and you're trying to score it every half an inch, you can see that you'll get close enough. It worked for me, but I will say the scored board is quicker and more accurate. So if you don't have one yet, here's a perfect excuse to get one, because we all need excuses to get craft supplies, right? So I am right-handed. So I am going to start from the right-hand side. It looks like I froze. There we go. So I'm going to score from the right-hand side. If you are left-handed, you could just do this from the left-hand side, okay? You're going to, this one happens to come to 8.5 inches. That's what the diagonal of a 6x6 is. You're going to score every half inch. So I'm going to start at the 8-inch mark. And it is designer paper, so it's a little thinner than cardstock, so you don't want to press too hard. And then I'm going to go at 7.5. And then at 7, and then at 6.5, and then at 6, and 5.5, and 5, and 4.5, and that is just before the peak. So that's where we want to stop. If we went to the 4, we would end up on the other side of the peak. So you want to stop there. So if you're going from the left, you'll start at 1/2 inch, then 1, 1.5, 2, blah, 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 till you get to 4, and you'll stop at 4. Okay? Pretty simple, really. You just have to remember every 1/2 inch. And I'll explain that dark mark on my scoreboard when we start making the 2 at a time. Okay, so now I'm going to just do my little accordion fold. So if any of you have ever made the rosettes or anything like that, you'll totally understand this. I'm going to take this first one and fold it in. So that little corner on the end. So it's a valley fold. And the other one goes back. And then in and back. I'm not being too picky about creasing this yet. I'll do that in a minute. And back, in, and that last one, yes, you are going to go back. Now I'm going to take my bone folder. I'm going to put all those folds down and burnish those folds really well so they're creased really well. Okay, perfect. And now we're going to open them back up for a minute. You're going to use liquid glue for this entire process. The person that I watched this, she said she had tried tear and tape, which usually we use for 3D things because it's got a good bond. And she said she came back later and it had popped open because it's just too much pressure. The liquid glue is fabulous for this. And I've made many of them and none of them have popped open. So she is accurate on that. Which makes it super easy too. So you're going to stay pretty close to the bottom and you're just going to put just a tiny dollop, okay? Maybe about 1/4 inch up on every one of these valleys. And then you're going to flip it over. You're going to do the same thing on the back, not on this tip because that'll be on the outside. But all of these valleys will get just a little dollop of glue. I shouldn't even call it a dollop because a dollop seems much more than what it is. And yes, even on this last one. So all the valleys are going to get that little dollop of glue. And now we'll fold it all down again. Da, 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 da. And I'm just going to pinch that for a minute. And while we're waiting for that glue to dry, it'll just take a minute. I want to say I hope all of you moms in any capacity had a lovely Mother's Day yesterday. A dollop is for sour cream. Exactly. That's exactly what I think of. A dab, I guess we'll call it. But yes, we had a lovely Mother's Day weekend. Both of my kids now are grown and out of the house. And both of them came down Saturday, stayed overnight with the grandboys as well. And so we had like game night for the adults on Saturday, which was a lot of fun, a lot of laughing, a lot of goofiness, which I miss. And we had a lot of fun with the grandboys. We went out, we had a good homemade pizza dinner. We went out for breakfast on Sunday morning, which was very overwhelming, but also delicious. And I'm glad we did it. My son and I looked at each other like, whoa, this is a lot. But it was delicious and great. And so then we had just a light lunch. And then everybody ended up staying for dinner last night too, which we had tacos. So we had plenty. And yeah, and then it was very quiet yesterday evening. And I was exhausted and sore. All right. So we are all good there. But I do want to show you before I move on the fabulous gift that my husband presented me with yesterday. I don't know if any of you have seen these, but if you're a fan of the Funko Pops, you can make your own Funko Pop. So you can see it says Nanner at the bottom there. That's me. And he made a Funko Pop of me. So you can see she's got my haircut and she's got my blue glasses and she's holding her cell phone, which is, I'm sorry to say, is very accurate. So I guess there was a few accessories you could choose from and cute little, I really want this dress now, I'll tell you, because I don't have one like that. So, but super cute. I absolutely love her. So she'll be on my desk at work, I think, for right now, but I absolutely love it. And what a unique gift that was. So super fun. My kids got me microwavable slippers because they know me. Um, and my feet are always cold. So everybody did very well. It was a wonderful weekend. One of the best Mother's Day, because I will say when I was a young mom, I was one of those young moms that was like, you know what I want for Mother's Day? A break. I would like you guys to all leave, or I would like to leave. And so many of the women I hung out with when I was younger didn't feel that way. They wanted to spend the whole day with their kids. And I'm like, oh, I'm a terrible mother. And now I know that I'm not a terrible mother. I'm just a different one. So no matter how you wanted to spend it, I hope you got to spend it that way. Okay, so now we're going to pop the lip balm in there. And I forgot to add a link to this particular one. This is the same one that the woman that did the video that taught me uses. And I've been using it since I got it. So, but you can get like a pack of 20 of these on Amazon. So I will add it to the description. If you're watching on YouTube, it's already in the description. So if you want it, go ahead and click on that. So what you want to do is start rolling from the corner. And as you just come around, you want to put a little dab of glue just right on the end there. And just keep that lip balm even with the bottom of the paper and roll it very tightly. So I'm pressing very hard. I'm rolling it very tightly so that the lip balm stays in. And then when you get to the end here, you're just going to put a line, ½ inch, ¾ inch, and then roll that up. And then here is where your office supplies come in super handy. You're going to take a binder clip. And I will say a large binder clip works better, but I could not find a large one, and so I have a medium. So we're just going to pop that on, and we're going to let that sit so it dries. And while we're letting that dry, we will add a little decoration. So I just die cut out a circle from the Unbounded Love set of dies. Any circle would do, really. So any kind of thing you have. I got a couple of hearts from the Bee Builder Punch. I thought that was pretty appropriate. Ooh. And again, just all liquid glue, which is nice because you're not like, what am I using? What am I using, right? Okay, we've got that. Let's set that aside for a minute. Let me see if there was anything else I was going to talk about before we move on. I have notes, people. So, yep, covered all of that. Okay, so we're going to move on in a minute to making 2 at a time, but this should probably be good. It really only needs to hold for like a minute. See, we're good. So now what we're going to do, just a little bit of liquid glue right here. You could use dimensionals, which is what I did, I think, with that one, and I'll do that on the other, that's the one that I make. But again, just a little bit there. Now, when you're ready, when it's all glued together, just squeeze that at the bottom, and then you're going to fan this all out so that you can see that beautiful designer paper. And you can decide which design you want, like on the outside, and which one you want on the inside, kind of wrapping the glue. So these actually are opposites. Pretty cool, but they both work wonderfully. I just grabbed these colors from the designer paper so that it matches nice. So if you can imagine, like, oh, these would look great at a bridal shower or a baby shower in whatever colors, even actually at weddings, wouldn't that be great? Because I know I'm always using lip balm, so that would just be fabulous to have that as a nice little wedding gift instead of something that I'm like, I don't know where to put this now that I have it home. Okay, so for the 2 at a time, we're going to use the Summer Splash, right? Summer Splash? I always want to say Summer Sun, and now I'm finally remembering it's the name of a band we saw years ago. Like, why do I always want to say that? Okay, now we're going to bring back in our Simply Scored board. I'm only going to complete one of these, but I just wanted to show you how you go about scoring everything at once. So what I did was I took a Sharpie and I just went down the groove at the 5.5-inch mark. And the reason I picked that mark was, hey, Joan, I'm so glad you joined us. The reason I chose the 5.5-inch mark for cards, that's where we score that in the middle, right? So if you have a 11-inch by 4.25, you'll score it at the 5.5. So I just picked that one. And the reason I did that is so that I could line up my points and know that they were in the same groove, okay? Because I definitely don't want it like skewed off to the side and then I'm scoring and it's not actually straight. That's kind of the point of this, right? So I'm going to take some of my Post-it tape there. Just kind of tape that down so it stays. Oh, here I am looking for my stylus, and it actually lives right here on my scoreboard. Okay. Another thing, if you're not familiar with the Simply Scored board, it comes with this stylus, and it's got like a larger ball on one end and a smaller ball on the other end. And I feel like the larger ball is for cardstock and the smaller one's for DSP. That's how I'm using it tonight. If anybody else has a different opinion, please chime in. So what we're going to do here is do all the scoring for 2 of them at one time, and then we'll cut and fold. So if we look here, it ends at the way I have it lined up, at the 9 3/4 mark. So I'm going to start at 9 1/4 because that'd be a 1/2 inch in. And then 8 3/4. So it's just the way I happen to have it measured. It's going to be on the 1/4 inch and the 3/4 inch marks. And remember, designer paper is much thinner than cardstock, so you do not want to press hard. It's usually why I go over it twice, so I can get a good crease without going right through it. And now I've gotten to the 5 3/4 inch mark, and you can see that I am just before my peak again. So that's where I'm going to stop. And we can pop this off of here. Now we'll grab our trimmer. Ooh, you don't have the scoreboard. I will say I don't use it very often. When I do multiples of cards, it's really great because then, you can just have one thing like for cutting maybe, and another thing just for scoring. So that's really nice. If you're doing boxes and things like that, it's really nice to have for 3D kind of things. Actually, before we do our trimmer, we want to do all of our little folding. So again, we're going to take, which one do we want on the inside? I think we want this one showing, and then we'll wrap that around the lip balm. So we're going to valley fold this, and then back, and front, and back. Again, just like we did before. And if you remember last week, we were talking about the in colors, and the Summer Splash is one of the in colors. And right now, for the month of May, when you purchase the starter kit, you actually get 4 of the in color products free. It's $82 worth of product free added to your starter kit. So usually the starter kit is the best value because it's about 20% off, and it's your choice of stuff. But when they add in the in color products, you're getting over 50% off. So that's quite a deal. You have a contraband one, yeah. I know. Well, and we didn't have one at first too. So for sure, if you got one before we had one, obviously you have a contraband one. And I totally understand if you have something and then Stampin' Up! Comes out with something similar, like, why would you buy that, right? If it's working, just do that and spend all that money on dies or stamps or something else. So now this is the folded side. This is the non-folded side. And I'm just going to line up those points in my cutting ditch. And now I have two of them that are scored and folded. And I'm just going to finish one. So as you can see, that fan is going to be on the left side for one. It's going to be on the right side for the other, just like these. I did opposite, which is very cool. All right, so now we add our glue. Just a little dab again. But yeah, I last week in my email newsletter, actually, I had some points on how good the starter kit is, because you do get such a good value. And then after you purchase the starter kit, you're technically a demonstrator, right? And so then you get 20% off all of your personal orders from then on, which is fabulous. Like, that's why a lot of people join to start with. You also get early access to all the catalogs and products. So new catalogs we get to see at least a month before the rest of the population does. And then we get to order early as well. All right, so we're just going to pinch those together for a minute. We also get exclusive groups, exclusive trainings. We get to go to fun events like the onstage one I went to in Houston. And you don't have to sell. You stay active by meeting your quarterly minimums, whether that's all your own personal orders or whether that includes maybe family and friends. It's totally up to you. And if you don't meet your quarterly minimums, you just go back to being a happy shopper and there's no penalties. You get to keep all that good stuff you got in your starter kit for more than 50% off. So that's quite a deal. I did forget to mention as I was doing this, to help me bend that around my lip balm, I did kind of, just like when you're curling ribbon, you used my bone folder to kind of give that a little bit of a starting curl. Now I have to find my lip balm again. Oh, I wanted to point out too, when you roll it really tight, you see if I'm pushing on that, it's not going to fall out, which is great. But if you push up from the bottom, it very easily comes out of there and you can tuck it back in. So it's a great little holder. Absolutely love it. I love really practical things like this. And you do. Okay, this is like one of my favorite things about being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. You also make the most awesome friends, even if they're in Australia. And they happen to share your husband's birthday, fun things like that. So, but yes, I have met so many people through Stampin' Up!, whether some people that aren't even necessarily demonstrators or customers. I met another woman who was a Pampered Chef lady, but we had a vendor event and we had tables next to each other, and we are still friends to this day, like, I don't know, 16, 17 years later. So, all right, we're going to add a little dab of that glue and roll it tight. But yes, you do meet the just great friends. And I will say that stampers are like some of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, hands down. And a little line of glue. And I will say too, when you put that line of glue on, keep it, whoops, that was not good. Keep it kind of close to the lip balm, and then it won't ooze out, because I have had some ooze out. And it gets covered, so it's fine. But if you keep it close to the lip balm, then you have more of it staying in where it's supposed to. Little binder clip to keep that where it's supposed to stay. And then let's make our little decoration. So I still have one of those pretty and pink circles, just like I did before. But now I have a little summer splash, and I've put some adhesive paper on the back. Love the adhesive paper. And I'm going to use my mini boss, my mini cut and emboss machine. And my Unbounded Love dies, which is kind of funny because I think I used the stamp set last week, and this week I'm only using the dies. You noticed, I think, that we're not doing any stamping tonight at all. You absolutely could. You could add a tag to this. You could add a little for you or something on the circle instead of a decoration or on top of it. So I am cutting out these cute little leaves. Absolutely love them. And I picked these colors using our new color theory that you can see in our catalog. So we had our color wheel, and these are complementary colors, which means they hang out on opposite sides of the color wheel. So you've got kind of a green and then a pink. All righty. I should have brought my dye brush over here. I'm not going to go get it. I'm just going to use my take your pick. I'm just going to use the pokey tool. This one's pretty easy to do as well. I've actually cut this leaf out a whole lot in the last week or two. It's fast becoming one of my favorite dyes, even with all the poking. Because as I said, it's pretty quick. It does make a bit of a mess with all these little punch outs. I really do need to put a lint brush down here, or I have one of those tiny vacuums on my Amazon wish list. So, and I have to tell you a funny little story about the Funko Pop figure that I got. So it actually arrived while Russ was out of town, and he told me, he says, okay, so there's something coming this week and don't look at it. And so I said, okay. He says, I don't know if it's going to be in like a plain brown box or if it's going to have the logo on there or what. I'm like, okay. So I could tell when I pulled in the driveway, I happened to be talking to him at the time, that it did indeed have something on the box. I couldn't tell what it was. So at his suggestion, I grabbed a towel and I opened the front door and put a towel over the box and then picked it up and brought it into his office and just put it on his desk with a towel over it so I couldn't see the logo. So it was all working fabulously, just according to plan. And then Tuesday of last week, he was home. And, okay, now remember to pinch the bottom before you fan everything out, because you don't want to like pull all your hard work apart. And then he came home and I had a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. And so I got home early and he had it out on the kitchen table to wrap. So, the poor man. So I was very nonchalant and just acted like I didn't see it. And he thanked me for that later because he knew I did. But it said Funko on the outside. Well, I have an extensive list of Funko Pop figures that I want that are on my Amazon wish list. So I figured, oh, he got me one of those. It'll still be a surprise. I don't know which one he got me. I never in my wildest dreams thought he had me made into one. So super cute, very fun, and still a big surprise. So there we go. Ooh, I like that a lot. See, I haven't made one of these with this paper yet. So yes. So super easy. Like I said, you don't have to do tags and, punching and all this and stamping even. You can just make your little guys with die cuts and punches and you're done. Super simple. You could totally do like a Mr. and Mrs. or something like that if you wanted to do wedding favors. Absolutely love this idea. So I'm hoping that you will make these as well now that you know how easy they are. I think I'm going to be making a bunch of these for the craft fair I'm doing at the end of the year. So I feel like stocking stuffers, these are going to be good sellers. So thank you so much, everyone. Yes. Oh, retreat gifts. Yes, that's a great idea. I love that. And like I said, who doesn't use a lip balm, right? So lots of good things. Yes, I agree. Just darling. All righty. Well, that's all I have for you tonight. So let me pop up here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you picked up some tips or some inspiration, I would love it if you'd share the video so that your friends and family could pick those same tips and inspiration up. You're welcome, Joan. Until next week, I am still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.